And we're off. Welcome in to the debut edition of Seahawks Today Live, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. We will begin coming up officially in just a few moments from right now. And before we do that, this is what we call the build-up period. Over the next few minutes, we're going to toss out some questions and preview what's ahead for today's live show before we officially get started. So the first question I want to ask you guys for the first show, where are you watching Seahawks Today Live from? Let me know. We are broadcasting here from beautiful Dallas, Texas, where we've seen some rain the last couple of days after a drought that's lasted for a couple months. But nonetheless, we're glad to be bringing you this show from here. Let me know where you guys are watching from, wherever across the world, across this great country and great land. Let me know where you guys are watching today's show from, and we're excited to have you here to welcome us into your homes this afternoon. Give us some shout-outs where you are watching from. And I'm looking on the chat here. I see that we have some folks from Seattle, Virginia, Delaware, Los Angeles, as well as Boise, the Man Cave. Can't go wrong with hanging out in the Man Cave either. Washington State, watching from work. Hey, I appreciate that you're watching from work, that you're taking time out of your day to be with us. New York City, home, North Carolina, North Bend, Oregon. I've been to Bend, Oregon, nice city. Also, Linwood checking in as well. A lot of people watching from all across the country today on the show, and we appreciate that for sure. Also, if you are just rolling in, let's get the likes going as well. Hit that like button and show some love as we get started with the show. Our next question that we have for you, we want to know, who's your favorite all-time Seahawk? There's so many to choose from over the great years of Seattle Seahawks football. Let me know who your favorite Seahawk is. You know, as we're talking about cities and where people are from and some of their favorite players, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma originally. And so, I love me some Steve Largent. Steve and I come both from Tulsa, so he's probably one of my all-time favorite Seahawks, although he was a little bit before my time, in all honesty. But I do love Steve. Let's see, who else do we have here? Who are some of the answers? Dat Fat Rat, a very loyal watcher to Seahawks Today, says Marshawn Lynch. Got Tyler Lockett. Sean Alexander is in the chat. Also, let's see, Wilson or Marshawn, Tyler Lockett, anybody but Pete Carroll. Okay. Russell Wilson also listed on the chat as well. Cam Chancellor, Bam Bam Cam. Very good. A lot of good choices so far here on the show.
Huge Matt Flynn guy.
Yes.
Huge Matt Flynn guy.
That's how you introduce yourself to the Seahawks fans. You're a Matt Flynn guy, Chuck?
What could have been, I don't think he would have thrown the pick on the 1 yard line if it was Matt Flynn. Just me saying.
And what an introduction. Our producer extraordinaire, you'll see him from time to time here on the channel. Jeremy Chuggs, my hype man, my sidekick, is here with us.
I'm your Robin. I got the utility belt. I got everything going.
I love it. He'll be with us for the watch party later this week as well, which will certainly be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's going to be lit.
We're going to be having a good time. And Jeremy does the Raiders stuff, and so we'll be bringing some of that flavor, some of that flash to the Seahawks show. You guys have a lot of fun over there, and we'll try to have that same fun here on Seahawks Today.
It's a party every day.
Yes. I love that. That should be the theme of Seahawks Today. It's a party every day. Already have somebody telling you to shut up, actually. Shut up, Jeremy. That's Tom.
That's
yes.
Tom.
Okay. That's typical for Tom.
He's not fun, so it makes sense.
My mom has chimed in. She says the Boz. I believe that. My mom watching,
the Boz.
Checking in for the very first show. Thanks, Mom.
You should get that Boz haircut.
Ooh. I don't know about that one.
Got another question for you, Jonesy.
Okay, next one. Confidence level in Geno Smith. We're going to be talking about him a lot today as well, as he's been officially named the preseason Week 1 starter, and that doesn't mean the quarterback competition's over by any stretch. Really, it's just getting started. We'll talk about that more later. But I'm very curious. What is your confidence level in Geno Smith right now? Rate it 1 through 10. Let me know in the comments section what your confidence level is in Geno at this point in time. And already getting some answers in. I see 1, 4, 1, 3. kind of low numbers. Not a lot of confidence in Geno Smith at the moment, but nonetheless, we'll get some thoughts on that. Okay. And a few more questions that we'll get to through the show today.
How do you feel on Geno Smith?
How do I feel on Geno Smith? You know, I'll say this. My confidence level in him knowing the system is high. He clearly knows how this offense works under offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. As far as executing goes, that might be another story. I don't think Geno Smith is quite capable to lead this team to the playoffs and get where they want to go, but he might be their best option for the moment until Drew Lock picks up this system. But nonetheless, I'm not high on Geno Smith. I think my confidence level, I'd probably put it at about 3 or 4 personally. Dr. Chicken says an 8. Chase says 6.
You're not high on Geno Smith.
I'm not high on Geno Smith.
What are you high on?
I'm high on a lot of things. I'm high on life, folks. That's what I'm high on. Another question in the inbox that we'll answer today. Should the Seahawks trade for Roquan Smith? We're going to talk a lot about Roquan Smith later on as the Bears linebacker has requested a trade from the Bears. It is our poll question today as well. So whether you want to chime in the comments or you want to vote in the poll, do both. Let me know. So far, our poll results have the Seahawks, should they trade for Roquan Smith, 62% say yes, 38% say no. So very curious what you guys think about that. I will share my thoughts later on as far as the idea of trading for Roquan Smith. That's what we call a tease in the biz. So we'll talk about that, break down all the details, let you get to know Roquan Smith if you don't know much about Roquan already. And so you may be wondering, how do I get on the show? Well, here's how you do so. Use the hashtag Seahawks, or you can super chat. Yes, you can just buy your way to cut in front of the line in front of everybody. You can give us money. We like money around here. And you can get on the show first. And you know what? If we get enough super chats, we might do something crazy around here. So just keep that in mind. A little extra incentive. Not only to use the super chats, to use that hashtag Seahawks, or you can just cut the line and use the super chat. Okay, he's got the hashtag going for later on. So how about that? But nonetheless, we love the super chats around here. That's how we pay our bills and make money here on Seahawks Today, so I can feed my family of me, myself, and I. Like the video so we can get started with today's show. If we get up to 50 likes, then we can go ahead and get started. So it's really up to you guys. I'll just sit here and wait. And when you guys get to 50 likes of the video, then we'll go ahead and get started with the show. I got all day. I can wait all day long. But the sooner that you guys can get us to that 50 like number, then we can get started with today's show. So here is what's on tap for Seahawks Today Live. We will cover the latest Seahawks news and rumors, look ahead to the preseason matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday night. Tell you what you need to know about Geno Smith getting the start and some of the details, some of our expectations, what we need to look for out of the Seahawks in this first preseason game. Also, we'll have a live Q&A mailbag afterwards where you can send in your questions via either the hashtag Seahawks or using the Super Chat feature. And then we'll also close out with the latest Seahawks trade rumors. We'll talk about Roquan Smith. Also, we will talk about Sam Darnold as well. Those trade ideas, as those have been popped up by the media with a couple different ideas. We have reached the 50 like threshold. So, Chugs, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the first ever edition of Seahawks Today Live. Welcome into Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. We have the latest Seattle Seahawks news and rumors as the Seahawks gear up for their first preseason game of 2022 as they take out the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday night. And we received some news this week that the Seahawks have named their starting quarterback for the very first preseason game. That will be Geno Smith. Geno Smith started a few games in fill-in duty for Russell Wilson last year, already knows the system, played under offensive coordinator Shane Waldron last year, And so no surprise that he was named the starting quarterback for this first matchup for the Seahawks. But it really is just the beginning of the quarterback competition with live game action. We'll have more on what we'll see from Geno Smith and Drew Lock in just a moment. But here's what head coach Pete Carroll had to say on Drew Lock, where he stands right now in the quarterback competition. We know that Drew Lock played fairly well in that mock game last week, and Pete Carroll said, yeah, I think it was his most solid performance. He's had a really good days too, but I think that was one of the best under the circumstances. He went with the ones and the twos and all of that. I really liked his poise, his comfort in the pocket, handling stuff, adjustments, calls that he had to make at the line of scrimmage, and all of that he handled really well. So that's what he had to say on Drew Lock nonetheless, and it makes for an interesting situation. Look, Geno Smith last year, he played fine. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 58% completion percentage, and 702 yards. But now I think the Seahawks are in a position trying to measure whether it's Geno Smith or Drew Lock, which quarterback is going to make the least amount of mistakes. And last year with Geno Smith, you saw him take care of the ball fairly well, that he managed things to an extent. He did what was asked of him. And I think what you're going to look at these next couple of weeks when it comes down to who will win the starting job in Seattle will ultimately come down to who will make the least amount of mistakes, who is going to take care of the football better. And Geno Smith has shown early on that he has the edge for that position. But we'll see when it comes to this live game action. So a question that I have for you guys, your confidence level in Geno Smith at this point. Where would you scale it? How are you feeling about Geno Smith? Let me know in the comment section. Our pinned comment today, scale it 1 through 10. What your confidence level in Geno Smith is, let me know. I'm very curious what Seahawks fans feel about Geno Smith at this point in time heading into this preseason game. Let me know your confidence level in Geno Smith 1 through 10. Now, my confidence level in Geno Smith, it's not very high. I would probably rate it at, in the 4 range of sorts for me. And, look, I get that Geno Smith took care of the football and didn't make too many mistakes when he filled in last year for Russell Wilson. But as far as getting this team to the next level, I see limitations with Geno Smith personally on what he can do on that end. Pete Carroll talked about Geno Smith this week and said, yeah, he's still going with the ones. He'll start the game this weekend, and he's ready to go. He had a very solid day on Tuesday, and he made some big throws. And so that sets up the Seahawks quarterback depth chart like this right now. All reports indicate that Jacob Eason is far behind Geno Smith and Drew Lock, that this is a 2-man battle right now for this starting quarterback job. And as I've said before, and I will reiterate, that the quarterback competition does not really begin until these preseason games get started. The Seahawks are one of the few teams in the NFL where these preseason games matter for their guys competing, for their first-team offense, because it's these preseason games, the live game action, that will separate the haves from the have-nots. And with that, I hope that we get to see Drew Lock get some reps with the ones. I understand completely why we are seeing Geno Smith as the starter for this first preseason game. But let's at least see Drew Lock get an equal opportunity of sorts. We know what he did in that mock game, mostly running with the twos. But if he can get some time in there with the ones, and if we can find a way to equally measure these quarterbacks, let's see what happens at that point. To me, that will be intriguing. That will be fascinating to see if Drew Lock can get that opportunity, if we can fairly measure these guys. I'm predicting that Drew Lock's ultimately going to be the starting quarterback, that he will win this job when it's all said and done. But let's see if he gets a fair opportunity to do so, how he measures up with the ones as opposed to Geno Smith. Seahawks Today is doing some exciting things over the next few weeks throughout the season here on the channel. Watch parties, live shows each and every Wednesday. And, of course, we're covering all the breaking news, rumors, and trades, everything in between. Subscribe now if you have not already. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Turn on your notifications as well so you never miss a moment of Seahawks Today. You'll be glad you did. It is YouTube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe now so you never miss a moment as we cover this team like no one else will. So DK Metcalf was on the NFL Network this week, and he kind of weighed in on the quarterbacks competition right now. And he took a apolitical stance, I guess you could call it. He said, whoever wins the job, I'm going to be excited for them. That's a good teammate answer there. I know both of them are working their butts off right now. Both of them are studying their butts off. It's going to be a fun competition coming down to the wire. So there you have it from DK Metcalf giving his thoughts on this quarterback competition. And we will see with this preseason game coming up on Saturday night between the Steelers and the Seahawks of where these two kind of stack up. I think it's by far the biggest storyline heading into this game for the Seahawks is this quarterback competition. And to me, that's what I'm so intrigued with, is to see ultimately who's going to take that next step up. In live game action, it's a whole different animal. You take off that red jersey, you can get hit. How are you going to respond to that pressure? Ultimately, we'll find out and see. So, I want to hear from you guys. What are you watching for in the first preseason game? What do you want to see? Not only from the quarterbacks, but from the team as a whole. What are some of the things you are looking for? I'll tell you what I'm looking for, my keys to the game in just a moment. But before we get to that, want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments section below. Got a great deal that we are offering Seahawk fans here on Seahawks Today. It is a T-shirt and long sleeve combination with the old school AFC colors as well, and they are on sale for 25% off now at chatsports.com/Seahawks combo. Get yours today while supplies last. You can get yours right in time for football season, whether you want to be out there when things get a little colder or in the heat right now. We got you covered either way with the long sleeve and the short sleeve option at chatsports.com/Seahawks combo. Over 25% off now. So here are my keys to the game for the Seahawks. There's a few things that I'm looking at. One, let the quarterbacks work. You know, I know that the Seahawks are going to be a run-heavy offense, and understandably so for this Seahawks team. But even with that being said, I think your best opportunity to measure these quarterbacks is to let it rip a bit. See what you have in either guy going forward. To me, that's what I'm looking for, is let those guys see what they're capable of at their very best. Let them unleash, and who ultimately looks better, you roll with and move on forward. Let them do their thing. Also, the rookie cornerbacks, they have quite the opportunity on hand. We have talked a lot on this channel about how much Coby Bryant and Tariq Woolen have stepped up throughout training camp. The way that those guys have looked so far to this point has impressed everybody, all the way back to minicamp and OTAs. There's some injuries, and now they have a chance to step up and take advantage of this opportunity that's in front of them to potentially even be a week one starter. That's how good they've been. That's the opportunity that's in front of for both of them with the preseason games ahead, in particular this week against Pittsburgh. And then last but not least, stay healthy. No injuries, please. I mean, I think that's the thing that irritates us most about the preseason is ultimately at the end of the day, these games don't mean anything in the win-loss column. You hope that you just come out healthy, that guys get better, that competition goes well, and that you don't get hurt. So, please, avoid the injuries at all costs. Play it safe if you have to on that injury front. Do whatever you can to try to come out as healthy as possible. So, we mentioned the rookie cornerbacks, and I want to close out this segment looking at what Roquan Smith from Old Seahawks had to say about the opportunity that these guys have ahead of them. Smith said this: those depth limitations are concerning with the first preseason game only 5 days away, but the absence of Jones and Burns will further benefit Tariq Woolen and Coby Bryant, who continue to impress in their first training camp. Of the two, Woolen may be the greatest beneficiary, as he already saw extensive first-team reps at right cornerback in Seattle's mock scrimmage on Saturday and continues to turn heads with his rare speed, length, and size at the position. While Metcalf burned him on a vertical route in team drills, he made a sensational play, extending his 33.5-inch arms to break up what would have been a 20-yard completion from Lock to Will Dissly. He went on to say both he and Bryant will have to prove themselves in real game action starting on Saturday, but thanks to the injuries around them, they each have a realistic shot now to force the coaching staff's hand and vie for immediate playing time on defense. So, how about that? A big opportunity ahead for both these guys. Let's see if they take advantage of it here in live game action. So, with that, our wrap-up on the Seahawks-Steelers preseason game looking ahead. If you had to predict the score, it's a preseason game, but if you had to rub that crystal ball, what would be your prediction? How do you see this game ultimately playing out on Saturday night? Let me know in the comments section. Predict the score for the Seahawks-Steelers preseason game. Let me know in the comments section below. All right, let's get to some shout-outs now who we have watching on the channel. Here's what I want to do. Go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter if you have not done so already at Tyler Jones Live. I believe we will get the link in the chat there. And we have some predictions rolling in as well. Dat Fat Rat says Seahawks 23-17. Daddy J says Pittsburgh 31-3. We got Tigers saying 20-14 Seahawks. Nick says 28-20 Seahawks. Jackson says 20-16. Who, though? Who's the team that wins? Dano says Seattle 21-17. Seigan says Hawks 23-20. J&J Rock says 21-17 Seattle. Jeremy Chuggs, producer Chuggs is here with me as well. What do you think? What do you think of this preseason game Saturday night?
I mean, it's a preseason game, so it's hard to tell. I just hope for the over. I want as many points scored as possible.
Life's too short to bet the under.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see maybe an interception return from Coby Bryant. I'd like to see the ball in his hands, He
and Tariq Woolen, if both guys can step up and have a good night and compete for one of those starting cornerback spots, that'd be great to see.
If you're forcing my hand, I'm hoping that it's going to be 42-38 Seahawks.
Could you imagine? The one thing that I think we don't want, and for me, just no overtime, please. Yeah. No overtime in the preseason. Look, that's the one thing.
There's no overtime in the preseason.
There is no overtime.
It'll end in a tie.
Thank goodness.
They changed that rule a little back, but yeah. I actually have a more important question, a more looming question for the audience, Tyler.
I'm listening.
This has been a hot debate in the Chat Sports office. I need everyone here to settle the debate.
Okay.
Are s'mores, it's National S'more Day, are s'mores overrated, underrated, properly rated?
Okay. So I'll tell you this.
What say you?
All right. I'll chime in on this, folks. So I don't know how many people know this. If we want to step back a bit and go to the hot tub time machine a little bit, there was a time in my childhood I actually lived in the Pacific Northwest. I lived in Oregon for a while, and La Grande, Oregon, in case people know where that is. And we went camping a lot growing up. And so I would say that I have ate a lot of s'mores over the years. And personally, I would say that s'mores, I know this isn't the hot take maybe people were looking for. I would go with P, properly rated. I don't think that it gets overrated. I don't think it gets underrated. I think it gets fair love for what it is. And here's the thing on s'mores, folks. They are so versatile, okay? I mean, the versatility of s'mores are more than people realize. You think on hand, you're like, okay, graham crackers, Hershey's, and your marshmallow, and you're good. Not so fast. I mean, you can add Reese's on there. Mm-hmm. There's what, like 100 different type of Hershey's these days. I mean, who said it had to be graham crackers either?
I personally go underrated. I love s'mores. I think, if
we just hit 69 likes.
Very nice. Very nice. If I'm going to any campfire and there aren't marshmallows, chocolates, and graham crackers, you're a lame. I'm sorry, you're lame. And it surprises me, and this is why I asked the question, because we got Huron Tigers, Brian Alvarez, Dr. Chicken, Dat Fat Rat. Man, come on, Dat Fat Rat. Man. All these guys are saying it's overrated. Jared G, Mad Wolf, they're all saying overrated.
Wow. That's brutal.
I don't get it.
I think if you're saying overrated, you just haven't had scores
Jackson
in a
gets
way.
it. Jackson gets it. Underrated.
Underrated. Clap, 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 clap.
Underrated. I agree with that, Jackson. Allen says overrated. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think these people that are saying overrated just haven't tried them in different ways. Dat Fat Rat says I don't like marshmallows. Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Oh my gosh, Dat Fat. Come on. Have you tried them? Have you tried them with the fire? Just not normal marshmallows, but like
Nick says
roasted marshmallows.
Good.
Oh, amazing.
I think, so I am one that I don't judge on your answer. You know, it's a free country. Everybody can have the opinions that they want. But
that opinion's wrong.
That opinion, as far as the overrated, is the wrong answer of the three here. Underrated? Okay, sure. Properly rated, where I stand, the very right answer. Overrated just means you're a hater. Okay? I mean, that's all that means.
Okay.
Let's see.
Alan says marshmallows and fruit salad and hot chocolate, that's it. Hot chocolate with marshmallows is elite.
Okay.
I do have to say. You know what else is elite, Tyler?
What's that?
Our Seahawks Today mailbags.
Oh, yes. So we're going to get to a mailbag coming up in just a few moments. And you may be asking yourself, well, how does a mailbag work? Well, here's what you got to do. In the chat right now, you can use the hashtag Seahawks, and you can get a question on the show. Or you can jump the line and super chat us. And if you super chat us, then you're going to get on the show first. And we appreciate all the monies that you give us at that point. And we'll answer your questions. So whatever you have for me, let me know. Get that hashtag or get the super chats going. And let's see what we can do today. Got some more in the inbox here. More people saying you. More on the under on the s'mores go. Also says fruit. That Fat Rat says fruit on a s'more? I don't know about that one. That might be a bridge too far.
So I've actually heard of marshmallows and fruit salad. I saw a couple people put in there. We called it what did my grandma call it? Heavenly hash.
Okay.
It was fruit salad with marshmallows in there, and then you mix in Cool Whip.
So mother
it's basically making fruit unhealthy.
So my mother says you got to try chocolate-filled marshmallows.
Oh,
they are the best.
That sounds good.
Mom, why did you never give me chocolate-filled marshmallows?
Mama Jones,
you're holding out. I've ever heard of this.
You're holding out on us, Mama Jones.
Like, really? Thanks for watching, Mom, by the way. Everybody's got to have a mom like mine. A loyal watcher on the first show, nonetheless. But we'll get the mailbag started in just a few moments. Get your questions in. Use that hashtag Seahawks in the chat. That way, producer Chugs can differentiate the questions and get the graphics and all that on screen, or use that super chat. Show us some love there, and you can jump the line and be first on the mailbag edition of the show. Also coming up later on, we're going to talk trade rumors, as we'll be breaking down some trade ideas for Roquan Smith and Sam Darnold as well. We'll get to those coming up in just a bit. So we will, in just one moment, one more thing. We told you I would follow back whoever followed me, and I got one follow. We can do better than that. Come on, folks. Give me a follow on Twitter. Jeffrey, I followed you back. He only had one follower. I became Jeffrey's second follower on Twitter.
Also, your mom said they're new. Come home and you'll get some. You got to go visit your mom, Tyler.
Well, I can't. She's in Mexico right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, mom watching from Mexico. Dave shouting out my mom as well. I figure, and my mom's being told she's a real one, I figure Seahawk fans are going to love my family. We'll find a way to work everybody in, the whole Jones gang. You know, speaking of which, one more thing, too, before we get to the mailbag. For whatever reason, and I have no idea why, you guys tend to call me Papa or all sorts of names relative to Dad on the channel. Every video that we post, somebody's calling me Dad or Papa or Father, whatever. We need to come up with a name for you guys And I think it has to be in relation to that. I think you got to be like, what, Papa's Kids or the Papa Bears, the Papa Cubs? I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. What would you like to be known as? What would the Seahawk fans that are loyal watchers to Seahawks Today in this channel, what do you want to be known as collectively? You have any ideas, Chugs?
The 12's family.
See, look at that. We got Daddy Jones, Mama Jones. Everybody's chiming in. So let me know in the chat. I'm very curious what you guys have there. Let's go ahead and get started with the mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on today's show. Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. We have a mailbag edition of Seahawks Today. You have questions, I have answers, and we will get right to them. And you may be wondering, how do I get involved in the mailbag? You got to be subscribed here to Seahawks Today, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Our first question in the mailbag comes from Chris. Chris wants to know, do you think that Coby Parkinson will get traded or stay? And he used the hashtag Seahawks. Well, Chris, very good question there. And, you know, I look at Coby, and I don't see the Seahawks moving on from him. I think that the Seahawks see him as a part of their future for this year at the very least. I don't see there being much of a trade market for him anyway, realistically. I think that he ends up staying around, that he's a guy that the Seahawks try to work in, that they find some playing time for one way or the other. I don't see him being on the trade block of sorts. You know, the only player that we've really, I think, targeted as a trade block guy for the Seahawks has been L.J. Collier, and even those rumors have kind of turned down a bit on that end. But as far as trading Coby Parkinson goes, don't see that happening. Thanks for the question. Next one comes from Dat Fat Rat, hashtag Seahawks, hashtag Wednesday for Daddy Jones. Should the Seahawks wait until the second round of next year's draft until they select a quarterback and take a quarterback like Spencer Rattler or Tyler Van Dyke? Okay, very good question. Now, I have watched, as you may not know this, folks, I am around a lot of Oklahoma Sooner fans back at the Jones crib. Everybody's OU fan, so I've seen a lot of Spencer Rattler. And I can tell you, Spencer Rattler was one of the biggest disappointments in all of college football last year. OU was projected to go to the national championship game. He was the Heisman favorite, was going to be the number one overall pick. And he lost his job before even the halfway point of the season to Caleb Williams. I am not going to invest the time into Spencer Rattler for what we know right now. Now, he could very well turn around and have a big year at South Carolina this year. But for me, I think that when you look at the top quarterbacks in this league, way more often than not, it's those first-round talents. You have to trust your scouting department that they know who the first-round talents are. So when I look at your Bryce Youngs, your C.J. Strouds of the world, there is a significant gap from those guys compared to the Spencer Rattlers and the Tyler Van Dykes of the world. If you are drafting to try to find your franchise quarterback, it needs to be a first-round talent, and that's why I would not wait around if I'm the Seahawks. If I have made up my mind I'm going to draft a quarterback next year, I'm going to draft him pretty high as far as I'm concerned. But thanks for the question. Next one comes from Rick. Rick wants to know, what should the Seahawks do at quarterback? Trade for Jimmy G or go with what they have? Now, we have talked a lot on this channel about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, and it makes no financial sense to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, as he would cost about $26 million. And by the time that he would get released, if the 49ers could not find a trade partner for him, I think it would be pretty close to the start of the season at that point. They could release him and only cost themselves $1.5 million. Realistically, this late in the ball game, the Seahawks' best option is probably to go with what they got, in all honesty. Whether it's Geno Smith, Drew Lock, let that quarterback competition play out and see who ultimately wins the job. Let them learn this system and figure things out from there. I don't think that a Jimmy Garoppolo that you get at the last minute is realistically going to be worth that much in the win-loss column compared to what you already have with these two guys, personally. Look, I'm not a big fan of Geno Smith or Drew Lock, either one. There's no secret about that. But I am not going to give up value and make the 49ers better in the process to go get Jimmy G. So, want to know from you guys. Pin comment today. Do the Seahawks need to add a quarterback for this season, for 2022? Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Very curious what you guys think. Do the Seahawks need to add a quarterback for this season? Let me know. Next question, Nick wants to know, hashtag Seahawks, should Seattle draft Bryce Young? Sure, I think that would be great to draft Bryce Young. He or C.J. Stroud, either one. I think I like C.J. Stroud a little bit better, but we have a whole year to let the game tape figure itself out and see who separates among those two. We very well could see them play head-to-head in a college football playoff game this year and get a better gauge of who's better between the two. But I think both quarterbacks are way above the rest of the pack when it comes to this year's quarterback class. I know that Will Levis from Kentucky is getting some love, among others, but Bryce Young is the guy that I would lean towards, or I'd lean towards C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young would be my second option, and then after that I think there's a big drop-off. But C.J. Stroud, first choice. Bryce Young, not a bad second option, though. Nick wants to know, Seahawks, second and third rounder for Roquan Smith, I think would be awesome. Your thoughts? Well, Roquan Smith is still really young. I think that might surprise some people that the youth that Roquan Smith is at. Money, he's going to be commanding a lot down the line. But a second and third for an all-pro caliber player, I would be in for that. I could do a second or third. Now, a first and a second, that might be a bridge too far, but a second and a third, comparably speaking to what you would draft in the second and third, I think you'd get a lot more in a player like Roquan Smith than you would in that. So in that option, if that's the asking price, by all means, take it. Jake wants to know, what do you expect out of Kenneth Walker this year? Well, it's going to be really interesting to look at the running back room for the Seahawks. You bring back Rashad Penny, and Penny finished off 2022 so well. And then you bring in Kenneth Walker III with Chris Carson gone now. And I got to tell you, this is a really good running back room. Now, there's question marks at the offensive line. We all understand that. But these two together, I think, are going to be a really good 1-2 punch. And in today's NFL, you have to have multiple running backs. You can't wear out one guy and expect him to last the season. You have to have multiple options, and the Seahawks have that. Kenneth Walker III, I think the sky's the limit. I think that he could do a lot for this Seahawks team in 2022, and I think that he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So will he be a Rookie of the Year candidate? I don't know if he will, because I think that Rashad Penny early on is going to get the majority of the carries, but he will be somebody to watch for, and I think will be, by year's end, one of the best running backs in the NFL. I think by the end of the year, you're talking about him being a top 15, top 20 back when it's all said and done. So expectations, high expectations for Kenneth Walker there. Now, if you haven't subbed to the channel already, I don't know why, but you need to subscribe, because not only are we doing live shows, we're also doing watch parties throughout the season, including this Saturday night. We'll have a live watch party on the channel. We'll get started about 15 minutes before kickoff, and we'll be having a good time. We'll be reacting to the game as it happens, having a few drinks. It'll be a great time with your favorite Seahawk friends. It's right here on the channel. Join us. It's going to be entertaining. We will not disappoint, I can tell you that much. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV is where you can find us. Subscribe now and join the party on Seahawks Today for our watch party against the Steelers. About 15 minutes before kickoff, it'll get going at about 6:45 Eastern, 3:45 Pacific here on the channel. We have Gina, and producer Chugs tried to get me on the full name on that one. I'll just call her Gina. Gina says, hashtag Seahawks, will Quandre Diggs be 100% to start the season? I hope so. We'll see. That's one of those deals that we're kind of just, waiting on for all these specifics, all the things to work out. But I would believe so, unless there's a setback of sorts. I think that Quandre Diggs is going to be fine. The issues have been the other safety spots. Ryan Neal getting banged up. Jamal Adams now with that oven mitt-looking thing on his hand now. But Quandre Diggs, I think everything looks like he should be good to go as far as that is concerned. And I think that Quandre Diggs could have a big year, and he's excited about this new defensive scheme of Clint Hurt that he brings to the table in 2022. But thanks for the question, Gina. Next one in the inbox comes from XZRGX. Hashtag Seahawks. You think Lockett is staying put? Well, Tyler Lockett's coming off the best 3 seasons of his career in a row. He has been really good the last few years. And the way that his contract is stipulated, it just doesn't make sense for the Seahawks to trade him. What they would have to give up of guaranteed salary on top of making a trade, that just doesn't add up. So for me, I don't see there being a move for the Seahawks moving on from Tyler Lockett. And although the Seahawks are in rebuild mode, that they're gearing up for their future, and Tyler Lockett might not necessarily fit their timeline, it just doesn't make sense when it comes to where the Seahawks are at financially and what they owe Tyler Lockett to make a trade. So I do think he's staying put for now. Not rule out the possibility of him being traded down the road, but for the time being, I think he does stay with the Seahawks. Next question comes from Crew018, hashtag Seahawks. Will they give Tariq Woolen an opportunity to play in the real season? I think so. And you look at this preseason game against the Steelers and the upcoming games ahead with the injuries that have stacked up in the cornerback position. Tariq Woolen has a chance to step up. And I expect Coby Bryant, one of my predictions with him was that he'll be a starter week 1. I think Tariq Woolen, if he's running neck and neck with Coby Bryant, he'll be right there and he'll be competing for a starting job as well. I don't see him starting right away, but I think that he'll get his fair share on the field, that for a 5th-round pick, when it's all said and done at the end of the season, we're all going to take a step back a bit, and we're going to be like, whoa, that was something else from Tariq Woolen in 2022, that he really came along and emerged way better than anyone else hoped. I mean, 5th-round picks, guys, to put it in perspective, I mean, there's years where 5th-round picks don't even make the 53-man roster and just get cut. And in Tariq Woolen's case, as a 5th-round pick, if he can not only make the roster but start, oh my gosh, that'd be great to see. That'd be big for Tariq. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Who are you most excited to watch this weekend in the Seahawks' first preseason game? Let me know in the comments section who comes to mind. Maybe it's one of these new rookies. Maybe it's a recent addition. Maybe it's one of these quarterbacks. Who are you most excited to watch this weekend in the Seahawks' first preseason game as they take on the Steelers? Let me know in the comments section below. A couple more for you. Jackson wants to know, hashtag Seahawks, will the quarterback have 2,000 yards this season? So whether it's Geno Smith or whether it's Drew Lock, will they have 2,000 yards? I would hope so. I mean, if either quarterback doesn't have 2,000 yards, that's a real problem. That's something that I would be concerned. If they can't get 2,000 yards passing, then this team isn't moving the ball at all at that point. So, yeah, I would hope somebody gets 2,000 yards. I mean, I would hope that's the case. If somebody doesn't have 2,000 yards, either one of these quarterbacks, then something has gone terribly wrong with this offense. So, yes, I think somebody, I don't know who, somebody will get that 2,000-yard mark. Thanks for the question, though, Jackson. Next one, Seattle stand up, hashtag Seahawks. What's been the biggest surprise of training camp so far? The biggest surprise, man, the biggest surprise for me, I think, is just how well we saw Drew Lock play in that mock game. And for him to step up the way he did in live game action, even with, think about this, putting this into perspective for the folks at home out there. Drew Lock, for the most part, was working with the 2s, while Geno Smith was working with the 1s for the most part, and yet outplayed Geno Smith clearly. To me, that's my biggest surprise is what he did in that mock game. Let alone it was one game, it was one scrimmage, not even a real game. But to me, for that to happen like that, that's probably my biggest surprise so far is how well he played in that mock game. To me, that was the one that stood out to me so far. Next one from Daddy J wants to know, who will lead the team in sacks? That's a good question. You know, I look at Jordan Brooks is the guy that comes to mind. Darrell Taylor is a possibility for this Seahawks team. It's going to be interesting who can put that together. I guess I would probably lean towards one of those defensive line or edge rushers because I think Jordan Brooks more so calling the shots is going to get a lot of tackles. I don't know necessarily about tackles for loss and those sacks, but you look at the linebackers and the edge, I wouldn't rule out Uchenna Nwosu either. Uchenna Nwosu has stepped up and looked really good throughout this offseason. You brought him in from the Los Angeles Chargers. There's some high hopes for him. So if you made me pick, I'll probably go with Darrell Taylor. But, you know, I could see it going a number of ways. It could be Uchenna Nwosu as well. So it's a good question as far as I'm concerned because I don't think there's a right answer right now. There's not an obvious choice at this point, but there's plenty of options of who could get that done. Next question comes from Booby. Nice one there. Got me on that one. Coby Bryant, Rookie of the Year, hashtag Seahawks. Rookie of the Year. I don't know about that. This defensive class was just loaded with talent. This was one of the best defensive drafts ever. And so, for me, Coby Bryant is Rookie of the Year. There's going to be guys that can pile up stats more so than he'll have the opportunity to do so. Very much these Rookie of the Year's awards are so stat-driven that I think that Coby Bryant, in his case, is maybe not going to be in the position to be Rookie of the Year, but wouldn't shock me if he's an all-rookie team type of guy when it's all said and done. You know, I mean, you look at Aiden Hutchinson, you know, a number of these guys. There was a record of edge rushers and defensive tackles that were picked early in this draft. I think those guys are more likely to potentially be that defensive player of the year. But Coby Bryant, he'll be one to watch, I think, as far as a guy that could be on that all-rookie team when it's all said and done. Last question from Nick. Can DK Metcalf win Offensive Player of the Year? I think he can. Maybe so, and Offensive Player of the Year does tend to go to the skill positions. Quarterback is, traditionally speaking, an MVP award, while Offensive Player of the Year goes to running backs and wide receivers. So, yeah, I mean, he could, but there's a lot of receivers. There's a lot of good receivers. I mean, there's a reason why so many of them got paid this offseason, right? And so in DK Metcalf's case, I would say that he's just got a lot of competition. That's the thing for me. DK Metcalf, I think, is going to have the best season of his career, but I don't know if it will be enough because I think there's going to be a decent number of guys that put up similar numbers to DK. That's not a knock on DK at all. It's just that right now in today's National Football League, the receivers out there are the best they've ever been. This is the best group of receivers the league has ever seen. So DK will have a big year, but I think there's going to be a number of guys that also have big years at the receiver spot. So we'll see. Appreciate you joining us for this mailbag edition of Seahawks Today. As always, follow me on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live. Love hearing from you there. And we'll see you here on Seahawks Today. All right, so speaking of my Twitter account, here's what I'm going to do. I have my phone out right now, and if you follow me on Twitter, the next 10 people that follow me, I will follow back, and I will give you a shout-out. So I am at 6,786 followers right now. I would like to get to 7,000 followers, but we got to get there first. So give me a follow on Twitter, and it is in the chat. The link is there right now. First 10 people, I will follow you back. So get on Twitter now, and let's get those follows going. Let's see. We already have a few in there on the follows. Let's see who we got so far. Eric, got you. Nah, gotcha. Jeff, gotcha. Sabrine, gotcha as well. Let's see. Keep those follows going, and I'll follow you guys back. Let's see if my phone can keep up here.
Jones a big boobies guy.
Follow you? Oh, yeah. Let's see. How about Instagram? I'm also on Instagram as well, at Tyler Jones Live. Thomas Bridges chiming in. We got a Rams fan in the chat.
Boo.
Ooh. Yikes.
Boo. The Whams.
The Whams?
Yeah, I bet you were a huge Rams fan 7 years ago when they were in St. Louis. Huge.
Yeah. That's a fake Rams fan. Gotta be, right?
There's a reason we don't have a Rams channel at Chat Sports. Thomas Bridges.
Do Charger fans exist?
I just assumed it was like Atlantis. Like, it's like a myth. Like, people think that there's Chargers fans, but, I mean, there's not really.
You know.
Get some boos in the comments. Everybody boo Thomas Bridges. Boo.
I'll say this much. I actually
boo.
do. Thomas Bridges is a friend. Thank you for chiming in and getting in the chat, Tom. He's actually a lifelong Rams fan. I'll give him that.
He's a friend, but he's a frenemy.
He's a friend of me.
Boo him in the comments. Boo.
Yes.
Boo.
Oh, let's see. All right, Dat Fat Rat followed on Instagram.
Oh, real one.
Okay. I'll follow back. Got some more followers on the gram. I'll follow back here. Let's see. Who followed on Instagram? We got Thrilla, I Ain't Alex, Ethan, DJ Child on the chat there. So,
boo.
So now we're doing, not only are we doing Twitter, we're doing Instagram as well. Either one, Tyler Jones Live. Give me a follow on either platform. And for the next few minutes, I am following back and shouting out.
Alan says boo. Dano says boo. Mark says boo. Fun P says boo. Nick Fury says boo. Thomas Bridges, I bet I can finish a boot quicker than Chugga. I'd like to see you try, Thomas.
Okay.
Day Thrilla says boo. Nick Fury says boo.
You know, if you want to see Chugs do a boot, you got to get the super chats.
Hey, Thomas, if you want to get a super chat in, I'll get timed right here, right now on Seahawks Today. I'll do it.
Super chats. We're also close to 100 likes on today's video. One away.
Thomas,
like the video.
Thomas, you're a Rams fan. I assume that you drink your boots with a straw. So, just an assumption from just hearing that you're a Rams fan. I assume you take shots with a straw as well.
Now, as far as the boot goes, and that's one thing that we'll tease. You may have seen it on the Raiders Report or some of these other shows. We get these boots out where we fill them up. It's like 3 beers worth. And you have to try to drink it as quickly as possible. My personal record is 16 seconds on the boot.
Mine is 17.
Okay.
Jones has me by a second.
So we'll do some boots eventually. But, you know, those chats got to get going.
Thomas, put your money where your mouth is. Super chat, and I'll do a boot right now.
Tom says he taught me how to drink.
Oh, yeah?
That's partially true. Let's see. What else? What else is in the chat? Someone says I'm hungry. Well, I don't know how to help you there. Let's see. What else? What are people saying?
Oh, I actually have another question for the audience before we get into our last segment of our inaugural live here, which you're killing, by the way, Jonesy.
Oh, thank you.
You've killed it so far.
Eric just followed me, too. We'll follow Eric.
It's National Treat Your Dog Day. Everybody in the office knows I love my Sadie girl. Do you have a dog?
Okay. So,
Y for yes and for no. Let me know down in the comments section. Do you have a dog?
So I just followed Ronnie and Ethan as well. All right, story time. So, guys, I had, past tense, had a dog. For 16 years, his name was Gordon. And Gordon just died about 2 weeks ago. And Gordon I had since the 5th grade. I loved Gordon. What a dog he was. The best dog. He was like a Corgi Hound mix. Very obedient. I feel like, Chugs, that Gordon and I, you know, getting him in the 5th grade, we like grew up together, essentially.
And if you're saying yes in the chat, let me know what kind of dog you have, because what kind of dog was Gordon?
Gordon was a Corgi Hound mix. Mm-hmm. Great dog. Not too big, you know, small dog. But, we could take him everywhere. So Thomas wants to know how many Seattle fans name their dog Russell or Wilson. Ooh. Might be time to change that dog's name, if that's the case. But yes, thank you, Fun P. Rest in peace, Gordon. Gordon was the best dog. Gordon was awesome. Your dog's named Sadie?
I have a golden doodle named Sadie. She's the best. She's like a big teddy bear.
Mark
I actually have a picture of her right here. I can get on I can get on the screen. Hold on one second.
Mark has 2 dash hounds. Thomas, he knew Gordon. Thomas says Gordon was a great dog. Yes, he was. Let's see, a husky. Let's see, got some English bulldogs. Dr. Chicken. I could have guessed that. Dr. Chicken has 8 chickens. Probably 7 after tonight, right? Chicken for dinner?
Oh no.
Let's see. Jesse has a pit bull, a Great Dane. Nick has cats. Jackson, thank you for the love there. Rest in peace. Gordon, great dog. Let's see. Dano says red nose pit bull. Clint says Thomas has a bulldog mix. Okay.
I have it on. She's my screensaver right now, but that's Sadie.
That's Sadie.
That's Sadie.
Spam Sadie in the chat. Let's show Sadie some love.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we're getting to our last segment of the live show.
Last segment.
Sad to see it go, but loved
all the dog talk.
Oh
we
yeah.
Could get that in. Maybe we're the real dog pound here. Not
hot seat Cleveland.
Hot seat Cleveland. Take that, Deshaun Watson. We love Sadie. Rest in peace, Gordon. All of our great dogs. This is a pro dog show. From this point going forward here on Seahawks Today. In case you did not know,
we are
a pro dog show. Cats, not bad. I don't have anything against cats. My parents have a very good cat, and he acts like a dog. I think that's probably the best thing about him. He's a tuxedo cat.
Andre says he has an old Pomeranian named Miko and an even older and much bigger cat named Tundra. That is an elite name for a pet. Tundra. That's dope. That's dope.
Should I get another dog now that my dog's passed?
100%.
It feels a little too soon right now, but I want to get another dog in the future. Now, I'll say this much too real quick before we go. Now, as a single man that I am, should I get a dog and try to attract the girls with the dog now, or do I wait until I have a female in my life and then let her kind of pick the dog in a sense?
Oh, y'all get a dog. That's a commitment. That's almost like getting engaged.
Right.
Getting a dog together.
That's what I wonder. What would be, as a single man, what's my better move in that case? Let you guys chime in. Dano has a 15-pound cat.
Oh, my goodness. That's a fat cat.
Yeah.
That fat rat cat.
Daddy J says Sadie will lead the team in sacks.
She will.
We'll take that, Sadie. Thank you.
She
Thank
will.
you much. Pro Dog Show going forward.
All right.
Coming up next, Seahawks trade rumors. We will get to them next here on Seahawks Today. It is Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we have the latest Seattle Seahawks trade rumors. We will look at trade possibilities for Roquan Smith of the Chicago Bears, as well as Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold. Let's start with Roquan Smith. The Sporting News has named Seattle as Roquan Smith's most likely landing spot. Interesting on that front with Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith has been very good throughout the last few years in the NFL, and now the idea of potentially bringing him to Seattle. You have a Seattle team that's in rebuild mode, and where he's at in his career and with his talent, he would fit the timeline for this Seattle team to build for their future and take things to the next level. Now, here's what the Sporting News exactly had to say about the idea of bringing Roquan Smith to the Seahawks. Seattle is in the midst of a rebuild and has both the cap space, $13.8 million, and draft capital to make a deal for the Bears linebacker. That includes 2 first- and second-round picks in 2023 as a result of trading quarterback Russell Wilson to the Broncos. It's worth noting the Seahawks also have former Bears defensive coordinator Sean Desai as their associate head coach and defensive assistant. That reunion could make Seattle an intriguing option. Seattle also cut an aging Bobby Wagner ahead of the 2022 season, the third contract year of a $54 million deal. That leaves ample room for Smith to step in and immediately take over in the starting linebacker rotation, or the Seahawks could take a chance on one of the linebackers in the 2023 class as opposed to a proven commodity in Smith. So that's the idea of trading for Roquan Smith. And the capital that would take to bring in Roquan Smith, that remains to be seen. But at the very least, it's an intriguing idea nonetheless, right? A guy that's this talented, this young, would he fit right with the Seahawks? Only 25 years old. This is our pinned comment today. Let me know in the comments section. Should Seattle trade for Roquan Smith? If you think they should, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let me know in the comments section one way or the other how you stand if the Seahawks should make a move for Roquan Smith. Personally, I'm not opposed to trading for Roquan Smith at all. I think that he is a terrific talent, that we haven't seen him at his full potential, that he's been really good through these first few years of his career, but there's still more that awaits Roquan Smith at this point. Now, to kind of give you the recap on Roquan Smith, he requested a trade on Tuesday, saying the new front office regime does not value me. He is a 2-time second-team All-Pro, and he also was on the Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team as a rookie back in 2018. So he is a guy that people have had their eye on for quite some time as a very good impact player. And now, if you get him out of Chicago and get him to a team that has actual key pieces on defense around him, we know this Seattle team has some valuable assets. Could he be freed up to even take his play to another level? To me, I think we could certainly see that with this Seahawks team. Now, the numbers on Roquan Smith. Dating back to last season, he had an interception, 3 pass breakups, and 12 tackles for loss to go along with 163 tackles. A lot of tackles for Roquan Smith last year. And, I mean, you look at the numbers. He's gotten better each year. I mean, 12 tackles for loss last year, 3 sacks and an interception. 2020 was solid as well with 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 18 TFLs. And each year, all 4 seasons of his career so far, over 100 tackles. An impressive mark for Roquan Smith there. The grades, according to the folks at Pro Football Focus for 2020, were very solid. A 67.2 grade. But what stands out there on that chart that you see on your screen right now is the coverage number. 84 for Roquan Smith. An outstanding number for him, according to Pro Football Focus there. Now, with that said, paying him, not necessarily cheap. As right now, the highest paid off-ball linebackers in the NFL, you can see, include Darius Leonard at $19.7 million. Fred Warner at $19.05. And I think that you would look at Roquan Smith sliding in at about at least $18 million, somewhere between the Fred Warner and the C.J. Mosley money. Much more, I think, than Zach Cunningham and Deion Jones. So with that said, with Roquan Smith, not only are you talking about bringing him in and giving up assets, but paying him a decent amount of money as well. And you already paid DK Metcalf. So if you're the Seahawks, do you trade for Roquan Smith not only to shore up that defense, but also build for your future, make him essentially the DK Metcalf of your defense? That's what we're looking at. The type of money you're committing, he would be one of the highest paid players on this Seahawks roster. So something to keep in mind there. Seahawks Today, we're bringing you coverage each and every day here on the channel. Subscribe now if you have not done so already at youtube.com/Seahawks TV. We're going to be doing live shows, watch parties, covering all the breaking news, trades, rumors, free agency, and more. And this week, with the Seahawks taking on the Steelers, we are in the midst of a sub-battle with that preseason game coming up on Saturday night. And we are beating Steelers talk in new subs this week, but let's keep the momentum going. Keep it pushing ahead here of those pesky Steelers. We're at 55. They're at 49 new subs. Let's keep it going. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. And if you're already subscribed, make sure your fellow Seahawk fans are real ones and that they're subscribed to the channel as well at youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Let's talk about Sam Darnold now. Bleacher Report has suggested that the Seahawks trade for the Panthers quarterback. It looks like that Baker Mayfield is in well position to earn the starting job with the Carolina Panthers. And with the money that Sam Darnold commands, that leaves him in a position where the Panthers are looking to move on. And for me, this one's quite a reach, the idea of bringing in Sam Darnold, but I have an open mind, so let's give it a look nonetheless. Here's what Bleacher Report's Alex Case said. Darnold would give the Seahawks a chance at unearthing a franchise QB during a rebuilding year. If he can stay healthy, he has yet to play a full NFL season and reach that ceiling that made him the number 3 pick in 2018. There is a chance he'll emerge as a viable starter. With weapons like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett surrounding him, Darnold could finally find sustained success, though there is a good chance the quarterback doesn't realize his potential for a late-round pick at most. This is a trade worth making for the Seahawks, according to Alex K. We'll tell you what Pete Carroll had to say about Sam Darnold in a moment. But before we do, our pin combo today, should the Seahawks trade for Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold? Let me know in the comments section if they should make this move. If so, type T for trade. If not, type D for decline. Let me know one way or the other if the Seahawks should make the move for the Panthers quarterback. T for trade, D for decline for Sam Darnold. For me, it's a hard pass on Sam Darnold. No thank you. $18 million for a guy that's done absolutely nothing in this league, that's made a lot of mistakes. He's already had a second chance in Carolina, and it simply did not work last year. I mean, they played Cam Newton at one point over Sam Darnold last year. He was traded there in 2021, drafted number 3 overall by the New York Jets. And look, the talent is there with Sam Darnold. It's clear. The talent level is there. But he hasn't been able to put it all together. And at that price tag, I'm not willing to put that together for Sam Darnold, to give him a third chance. You look at the statistics. They're not good, folks. He's only had one season where he's thrown over 60%. So no thanks. I am not interested in the idea of bringing Sam Darnold to Seattle. He has cost too much when it comes to his salary. He has not played well. Seattle is not in a position to pay that kind of money for a quarterback that just isn't very good right now. Now, Pete Carroll has been a fan of Sam Darnold. And the two, of course, both have ties to SC. Pete Carroll being the former head coach there, Sam Darnold there years later. And this is what Pete Carroll had to say. You go back to December 2020 of what he had to say on Darnold. He said, I think he's really talented, without question. He's got great throws in him. He's a real quarterback. He sees things. He makes big plays and big throws in difficult situations because of his talent. It's just a matter of time. Sam's going to be a really big-time QB. He's thrown a lot of balls in 3 years. He's had a lot of experience. It will pay off in the long run. So, there you have it. Pete Carroll there. I think what we call that, folks, is an old take exposed. No, Sam Darnold's not putting it together. This is the end of the road for Sam Darnold. He is going to be a backup the rest of the way. I'm not trading for Sam Darnold. I'm not paying him $18 million either. No thanks. I went in with an open mind. Alex K. from Bleacher Report, I read it. I saw your thoughts. I disagree. No thanks. Don't trade for Sam Darnold. Who's a player the Seahawks should trade for? Let me know in the comments section if there is somebody that the Seahawks should give a look to, whether it's Roquan Smith, like we mentioned, or Sam Darnold, or somebody else. Let me know in the comment section below a player the Seahawks should trade for. All right, let's do some shout-outs before we go. And we appreciate you guys joining us. This has been a lot of fun here doing the first edition of Seahawks Today Live. And I see Dr. Chicken is making it known on the idea of bringing in Roquan. Also, let's see. Thomas says take a flyer on Rosen for cheap. How about no? Let's see. Jay says Drew Lock going to win. We also have Mark saying Leighton Vander Esch is a player they should look at of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see. We also got Dat Fat Rat says Roquan, bring him in. What else? What else you guys think? Live show during preseason games. Clint wants to know. Yes, we've been talking about that. We will be here on Saturday night. Dat Fat Rat wants to say hi to my mom. I think everybody, if we learned anything today, it's that everybody loves the Jones family. You guys don't even hardly know everybody yet. We'll introduce you to them from time to time. Jack says, Papa Jones, I love you. Love you too, Jack. Let's see what else we got here. By the way, let's plug the upcoming live shows. This is our first one, but we're going to do this all the time here on Seahawks Today, each and every Wednesday. I'll be here. Chugs is going to be here. We're going to have a great time every single week, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. And if for whatever reason you can't be here and join us live, we archive these shows so you can go back and watch later. It's not as fun, though, as being in the chat and being involved in the show. So with that, thanks for joining us. One more reminder, too, the watch party coming up on Saturday. 4 o'clock is kickoff Pacific time. We'll get started about 3:45 with a little pregame show, and then we'll do some postgame reaction, some halftime stuff. Chugs will be here. We'll have a great time. Chugs, appreciate you joining us, man. We had a lot of fun today. Successful first show.
Had a good time with the 12s over here at Seahawks Today. But besides people's horrible takes on s'mores, it's been a good show so far.
Yes, it has. Our first week in the books. We'll do it again next week. Before we go, name a player the Seahawks should trade for.
Garoppolo? Somebody said Kenny saying Garoppolo.
I'm not interested in spending $26 million on Garoppolo, but nonetheless.
Somebody said Ambry Thomas, the corner.
Should we trade for Ambry Thomas? I don't know about that either.
I would say corner's a position, starting to be a position of strength. Looking with if Coby, Bryant, and Tariq Woolen can both turn out,
if they continue to develop. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take reps away from those guys
I think
this
it's
early.
A great point. It's a great point. Guys, appreciate you joining us. See you back here for the live show next Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. And then our watch party coming up on Saturday at 6:45.